welcome back. My name is Baylee. It's been a really long time since I've filmed. Hasn't been a long time for you, but it's been a very, very long time for me. It is now fall, and I'm so excited. I'm wearing a sweater, even though it's super, super hot in here. But today, I'll be talking about all the books I read in September and all the ones I plan to read in October, fall spooky season. I decided to put these videos together in one just because take up less space on my channel pretty much, but that way we can talk about both of them and the video won't be like 5 minutes long. I can make it a little longer. So a lot of these books I read in September you'd have already seen because I read them for the readathon I did, the Upside Down readathon. So a lot of these I've already talked about, so I won't talk about them too much, but there's a few that I haven't talked about that I've read, I think. So the first book I read was a cozy mystery actually, and it was called the Murder Mystery Book Club. I just recently got Kindle Unlimited and it is one of the ones I got on there. So I never read a cozy mystery to my knowledge, but it's like a mystery, just not as graphic or dark, I guess. So it was okay. There was also a romance in it, and I liked that more than I cared about the thriller aspect or the mystery aspect. So I don't know. It's a series and I kind of want to keep reading it just because I want to know what happens like between the two characters that I think should be together. But the mystery part, I didn't really care about. This girl owns like a bed and breakfast. I want to say it's in Florida. Some island, maybe. It's like a vacation spot, so they have tourists and all that. She owns this bed and breakfast and she lives really close to it to where she can walk. And then one day, I believe she's walking to work and she sees a body just like in this alleyway. So she obviously calls the cops, and the whole time it's like her trying to solve the mystery with her book club. And her book club read like mystery books. Mostly talks about Agatha Christie books she reads, so they really like to read mysteries. They feel like, you know, kind of like an armchair detective situation, so they're trying to figure it out, which they do help the cop figure it out. I don't know. It was really light, which I needed at the time because I had read all those horror books and I was like, I just need something else to read that's not as dark, not as awful. So it was nice for that. It's not something I'm dying to read the rest, but maybe if I'm ever feeling the same way, like I need something light to read, I'll read it because it's still a mystery. And I want to see what happens between the two characters. Okay, the next book I read, I gave the Murder Mystery Book Club 3 stars because it was okay. The next book I read was The Patient, which I talked about in that video with the readathon. I gave that 3 stars. It was kind of not what I expected. It was good, but I liked the beginning more than I liked the end. It was really short. It was okay. The Couple Next Door I've already talked about by Sherry Lapina. Oh, I have that one. The Couple Next Door. Once again, I've talked about this one a lot. I ended up really, really enjoying it. I didn't think in the beginning that I would, but I ended up really, really liking it. So I very much recommend this book, especially if you like Sherry Lapina or don't. Even if you like, I don't really know if you like thrillers. This one's short, pretty easy to read. It's not super dark. Nothing like crazy happens. Like dark crazy. You know what I mean? Okay. No murder happens, which is unusual for me. It's just a missing baby. No one dies. That's actually not true. But whatever. Let me put it right here. Someone does die. The next book I read was A Saturday Night Ghost Club. I read the ebook of it. I think I ended up giving that one 3 stars. Yeah, I gave that 3 stars. Oh, I gave The Couple Next Door 4, if I didn't say that. But I gave the Saturday Night Ghost Club 3 stars. I really, really, really liked the end of it. Like, I like where it went. But just reading it was rough. Like, it was hard to get through, honestly. It was short, and I was trying to read it for that. Readathon is probably the only reason I got through it. But I did not love it. But I really enjoyed the end, so I don't know. I think that's just because I prefer thriller, mystery, something compelling to get me through the story. And it just like wasn't that. It was kind of like a lighthearted, this kid's growing up, what's it called? Come to coming of age. There we go. I almost said come to Jesus. No, coming of age story. So if you like that, maybe you'd like it. With a lot of like 80s, a little spooky. There's some ghost stories here and there, but nothing crazy. And then the next book I read also for that readathon was Caraval. Really, really liked this book. It's about, I've talked about it quite a bit, but it is about this girl. She lives on this island with her sister, and there's this thing in this world called Caraval they do every year. And this one, like, I don't want to say he's a magician, but kind of. He does magic. It's like this magical Caraval week he holds every year. And she's been writing him since she was young, trying to get him to come to their town. And just all of a sudden this one year he messages her back, or not messages, but writes her back and gives her tickets to Caraval. And yeah, it's pretty much just her and her sister, how they got there, their experience at Caraval. I did really enjoy it. It's a series. There's 3 books. And then I just recently found out she wrote, I believe, another series after this that follows a character that we meet in the series. I can't remember the name of it. I want to say the most recent one is called like Once Upon a Broken Heart. I'm not 100% sure. Joe, can you put a picture up? But it's by the same author, and it is like a sequel series. So I don't plan on keeping this book just because I liked it, but not a whole lot. But I would like to continue the series, but I'll probably just listen to it. So I'll probably get rid of this and then just continue the series while listening, because I mostly listened to this book and I enjoyed it that way. All right. Oh, the next one I read was The Guest List by Lucy Foley. Once again, I read it for that readathon. I still don't know how I feel about this book. I literally wrote nothing on the stars, so I clearly didn't know what I thought about this book then either. It was good. It was okay. I mean, I wasn't expecting the end of like the whodunit situation. I did like that. But I was talking to a friend of mine about it, and she was like, I just hated all the characters. And I think you're supposed to hate the characters. Like, they're supposed to be unlikable. I think you're not supposed to really care that, one died or whatever. But I don't know. It was okay. I'll go with 3. 3 stars. Everyone loves this book, though. And I don't get that. I don't know why everyone loves it. But it was okay. That's all I got for you. 3 stars. But I did like the audiobook because all the characters had different voices. I'm sure I talked about this book in my other video, but it's about a wedding on this secluded island, and then a storm happens, so they're kind of stuck there. And then it's different perspectives, and it goes back and forth in time, like before the wedding, and then like during the, what's it called? Where you eat afterwards. Reception. I almost said rehearsal, but I know that's wrong. And then it kind of goes to the reception, where someone comes up and was like, oh my gosh, I just found a body. And then it like goes back to the past. And then then it goes back and forth. Okay. You're trying to find out, one, who died, because you don't know for a really long time. You're trying to find out who died, and then, why, and who did it. And all through the story, you kind of find out, like, everyone has some shade with some other people. And then towards the end, you start to feel like, oh, everyone has shade with a certain person. And then you figure out that that's the person that died. And then you're trying to figure out who did it. And it kind of leads you astray. Makes you think one, then it makes you think the other, and then it makes you think someone else. And then it just says, oh, no, it was this person. And there's literally no way you could have guessed there's any connection between them, but it's that person. I think that's what irritated me the most. It was just so random. But, I mean, it was random in a good way. Like, there was no way to guess it. But also, like, some people like to try to guess it. And they like to see clues throughout the book to help you get to the person. And this book just didn't have that, in my opinion. Like, it was just kind of random at the end. Like, oh, boom. I don't know. I don't know what else to say that won't spoil what happened or anything like that. But that's The Guest List. I'll probably keep it. See if people in my life want to read it. Woo! Now, the next book I read was an audiobook because after that readathon, I started a new job, so I've been really busy with that, and I have just not wanted to read, like, at all. So I've just been listening to books, like, on the way to work, when I clean the house, do the dishes, do laundry, stuff like that. So the next book I read was There's Someone Inside Your House. Who's it by? Stephanie Perkins, I want to say is who it's by. So I read this book I listened to it because it is going to be it's adapted on Netflix. I'm not sure if it's a movie or a show. I want to say it's a movie. So I was like, oh, I'll listen to it because if it's on Netflix, I'll probably watch it. It was okay. It was so like random to me. It's like a YA horror book. So it starts off with like a death, and it's super, there are scenes that are like super graphic, super bloody, and I'm just like, whoa, this is for children? And then like the rest of the book's like a romance, and then it will like randomly go back to the perspective of the next person who's about to die. And then when it goes to the main character, it's like a romance again. I don't know. I enjoyed listening to it, but it wasn't like the best thing ever. So I gave her 3 stars, and I do plan on watching it, and I'll probably listen to her other book. She has another one. The Woods You're Always Watching, I believe is what it's called. But that one was average. It was just so odd to me. Like, it was mostly a romance with like these crazy graphic horror scenes mixed in. I don't know. And then the next book I listened to was The Worst Best Man by Mia Sosa. It's just like a romance book. I'd never even really heard of it, but I just kind of wanted to read something light because, like I said, I've been in a slump, so I was like, oh, I'll just read a romance. It's light, fun, probably. And it was available on Libby, so I just downloaded it, and I loved it. I think I'm going to give it 5 stars. It was just so good, in my opinion. I really liked the audiobook had a male and a female like actor for the other characters, which was really nice. The only thing I didn't like is the male character trying to do a woman's voice was awful. Awful. It was so bad. Like anytime he would, in the man's perspective, he would voice any woman at all. It was so terrible. It just seemed rude to me, but I'm sure that's just like how he thought a woman's voice. I don't know. But despite that, I really, really enjoyed the story. So this one was, damn, I guess I didn't, whatever. It was about this woman. It starts out as her wedding day. And the first perspective I want to say is the best man to the groom. And he gets a text message from the groom, which this isn't spoiling, it's literally the first chapter. He gets a text message from the groom and was like, hey, what you said last night really resonated with me. I think you're right. I think I'm doing the wrong thing. I'm not going to marry her. And so the best man's like, what the fuck did I say? I know I had a lot to drink, but I don't remember saying anything negative. And so he's then like, well, I guess I'll go tell the bride. I don't know why he decided it's upon him to do that, but he did. He went and told the bride, like, hey, your groom bounced. And then it like fast forwards into time. The bride is now, or even was then, I'm not 100% sure, but she is a wedding organizer, wedding planner. Jeez, I'm really bad with words today. She's a wedding planner, and she got this opportunity to get a really big promotion at this hotel. And so she goes to this like interview, and then the hotel owner was like, oh, here, we got the marketing team. I don't care, I'm gonna say it. It was her frickin' the best man. Like, the best man. And so it's like an enemies to lovers situation. And I just really liked, unlike almost any other romance book known to mankind, they communicate very well. And their reason to not be together, that isn't every romance book ever, isn't stupid, in my opinion. Like, most of the time it's a lack of communication. One likes the other one, and the other one likes the other one, but they don't want to tell each other because they don't want to get their feelings hurt, or they don't want it to be like weird or awkward or ruin the friendship, whatever. It's just stupid lack of communication is the reason they can't be together. That was not the case for this one. They both were like, yeah, I like you, but we can't be together because of this kind of thing. And they were like, yeah, you're right. So they broke up, and then of course they ended up together, whatever. If you liked The Kiss Quotient, I think you'll like it. It's similar Lee Steamy. So if you didn't like that book, you might not like this one. But if you like that one, you'll probably like this one. So I picked up her other book called The Wedding Crasher by the same author, and it's like the same world. It's following a new character, but I've already seen the characters from The Worst Best Man, so I'm really excited. I just started it today, though. But I might be able to finish it before the end of the month. It is the 27th right now, so I might be able to finish it if I listen to it every day. And then a physical book. Okay, y'all, don't be mad at me. I read, well, Daisy Darker. I started Daisy Darker. I have not finished Daisy Darker, okay? I am on page 150, and I am not loving it. I'm not loving it. Convince me to read the rest of this book. I need to be convinced. I don't know if I'm just like not in the mood to read right now. Well, because like I said, I'm in a reading slump, so I started this right after the freaking readathon, and I've only gotten to page 150. Like every time I try to read it, I just don't. I don't know. I don't really like anybody in this thing, and at this moment, I don't really care. It started to pick up a little bit the last time I read it, but clearly not enough for me to freaking read any more of it. I don't know. So many people love this book, and I don't know if it's because right before this, I read the guest list, and it is such a similar, like, on an island, on a secluded island where they can't get away, like, premise situation that I don't know if I'm just like, okay, I'm over it, because I pretty much already read something similar. I know, like, more than one person dies in this book, and it's very different. It's not a wedding, it's something else, but I don't know. Right now, I just don't care. I don't like it. It's slow. I find it to be so slow. So I don't know. Right now, I'm going to DNF it, but I do want to read it. I want to finish it. So I think one day I'll pick it back up, but right now, I don't know. I'm just not loving it, and I don't want to stay in this slump and push through this book and then hate it because I feel like I'm forced to read it, that by the end I'll just hate it. So I'm going to try to wait until I'm in like a better mental state to read this. So I'm going to put it aside for now. But everyone loves it. Like, what the heck? I feel like I'm missing something. I don't know. I feel really sad about it. But right now, it's a no. It's a no for me, dog. And so then today I started Verdi with the new bonus chapter. I've yet to read the bonus chapter. I have yet to read it, okay? But the first time I read this, okay, also we have to talk about this. What the fuck is this? This is terrible, Colleen Hoover. I don't want your whole ass face on the back of this book. I don't want it. This is like Stephen King level shit. Do I have one? This is the closest I got. She's going full on Stephen King, full face on the back. Oh, God. That's the only one I own, it seems like. But I bought this today because it came out today. With the new chapter at the end. I have yet to read it. I'm going to reread it before I read the new chapter. I'm hoping to get it done by the end of the month. If not, you'll hear about it next time. But I already know I love this book. I've already read it. It's great. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. I hope I still feel that way after reading the new chapter in the end. But I love the cover. It's like gold now instead of like the dark green it was. But I'm hoping this will help me get out of my reading slump because I know I love this book. I also know what happens, but I really, really, really want to see the new chapter. I'm hoping it'll like give us answers. I'm hoping. It might not. It might not, which is fine, I guess. I kind of like how it ended ambiguous. Like, it made it such a good book. If you don't know what this book is about, have you been living under a rock? It is everywhere on the internet, but some of you may not. I don't know, never mind. It is about this woman named, like, oh my God, she has such a weird name. Lowen? No. Lowen. Yeah, that's right. Lowen. And she is an author, but not a very, like, popular author. Not a very famous one. And so she gets this offer to, like, ghostwrite this series for this really famous author named Verity. Because Verity's been in an accident where she can no longer fulfill her series. So it's kind of like, this has happened a lot, I think. But the Robert Jordan series, he died before he could finish it. So Brandon Sanderson finished it. I'm sure there are other series that has happened that I cannot think of. But anyway, so she's going to ghostwrite it under a pen name and finish the series because the series is contracted, or Verity's contracted for like 3 more books in this series. So they want her to finish it. And she's going to get paid a bazooka amount of money. And she's, like I said, a very like not famous author at all. So she takes it because she's about to be evicted from her apartment. So if she doesn't take this, she's going to have no money and be homeless. So she's like, okay, I'll do it. And so she like moves in to this woman's house with her husband and kids, which blows my mind. First of all, blows my mind. And she's going to go through all her notes to figure out like, get into her mind, I guess, of how she like writes the books, and I'm sure she has outlines for the other books. So she is gonna go through all of her paperwork and finish all the books, whatever. Well, whilst rummaging through all this stuff, she finds some other writings of very like dark and disturbing stuff about Verity, and it is just a wild, wild, wild ride. Like I said, I read this book the first time, not in a day because I had to go to sleep, but I finished it the next morning. But it is so freaking good. Like, I'm sure there are people who don't like this book, but I don't know them. Every person I know who's read it really, really enjoyed it. Colleen Hoover normally writes romance. This is her more of a thriller. And I have not read any of her other books, but I don't plan on really reading the romances. I want her to write this. I want her to write more of this. I'm very happy that we got another chapter, but I need another book that is dark and creepy as shit like this. Okay, I'm done talking about it. I just love it so much. Okay. You may be like, Baylee, you had a TBR, and one of the books that you had on your TBR last month you didn't read. Well, you're damn right. You're right, I didn't really read much at all at the end of the month, okay? So one of the books that I was supposed to read last month, I plan on reading in October, or one of the books I was supposed to read in September, I plan on reading in October. Agatha Christie, The Mysterious Affair at Styles, I would love to read in October. Especially because it's October, it's spooky season, it's Halloween, murder mystery, yes. And it's Agatha Christie, so I do really, really want to read this. I really wanted to read it last time, but I just didn't want to read anything. I don't know, I just really was not in the mood to read this month. Well, I'm running out of room. Okay, and the next book I would like to read, I have a lot. I'm a very ambitious this October. I have decided I'm going to get out of this slump, and I'm going to read some damn books this month. So, I hope that is the truth. I hope that's the case. So I literally went to Barnes & Noble today, like I said, to get Verity. And I got a lot more than Verity, okay? So I got this book, Cackle, because 1, it's a beautiful cover. 2, it was 50% off. And it looks spooky. It looks spooky. I'll read you some of it. All her life, Annie has played it nice and safe. After being unceremoniously dumped by her longtime boyfriend, she seeks a fresh start. Annie accepts a new teaching position and moves from Manhattan to a small village upstate. She's stunned by how perfect and picturesque the town is. The people are all friendly and warm. Her new apartment is dreamy too, aside from the oddly persistent spider infestation. Joe would die. Enjoyed editing this, Joe. Then Annie meets Sophie, beautiful, charming, magnetic Sophie, who takes a special interest in Annie and wants to be her friend. More importantly, she wants Annie to stop apologizing and start living for herself. That's how she lives. Annie can't help but gravitate toward the self-possessed Sophie and begins to spend more and more time with her, despite the fact that the rest of the townsfolk seem a little afraid of her. And okay, there are some things. Sophie's appearance is uncanny and ageless. Her mansion in the middle of the woods feels a bit unearthly, and she does seem to wield a certain power, but she couldn't be, could she? I don't know. Like I said, I've heard of it. Looks witchy. And it's, October. Witchy season. And I bought House of Hollow while I was at Barnes & Noble as well because I love it. And I want to reread it, and I love the cover, and I wanted to own it. So I bought this, And when I went to the checkout, the lady told me that if I liked that, I should get this book. And I said, okay, convinced. So I bought this. And I would love to read it in October. It's small. Wonderful. Oops, wrong pile, wrong stack. Okay. And then a video I would like to do this month, October, spooky month, is a video reading books about cults. I hate to say I like cults, but I'm very interested in learning about cults because it's mind-blowing to me how people can be like hypnotized. And I don't blame the people who are hypnotized by any means, because I am sure those people are so charming and they just like get at them in just the right way and convince them that this is it, this is wonderful, this is what you're supposed to do. So cults fascinate me and I love learning about them. So I have some books here. Can you see them? I don't even know. I can't see myself because I record this on my phone. But I have some books here about cults that I would love to read and do a video about them. So the first one is A History of Wild Places. I've heard this is one of my 5-star predictions. So this will count as my October 5-star prediction book. And a book about cults. So I've heard this about cults. I don't know for surezies, but I'm going to go with it is. So that'll go in the video. It's about this author who goes to this town and goes missing. And then this detective goes to like look for this author and then also goes missing. And then he ends up in this town with all these spooky people. I don't really know 100% what it's about because I've heard it's kind of weird and I like to go into my weird books blind. Hauntingly beautiful, hypnotic, and bewitching. A History of Wild Places is a story about fairy tales, our fear of the dark, and losing yourself within the wilderness of your mind. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I've been told there is a cult-ish situation going on. So, we're going to put that in that video. Oh my god, I almost dropped this book. I caught it though. I have freaking spider senses or whatever it's called. Reflexes. Panera, you know, I shit on Panera a lot because I used to work there for so long. But you know, one of the greatest things I got from Panera is mad reflexes. Like catching shit that I've dropped. I'll almost catch it every time. Like that. I don't know how the hell I just caught that. Hopefully I caught that on camera. The skills. Okay. The next book I got that I know for a fact has a cult in it is The Project by Courtney Summers. I don't know pretty much anything about this other than there's a cult in it. And I read another book by this author called Sadie. And I enjoyed it. I listened to it years ago, so I don't really remember much about Sadie. But hold, please. Yeah. Okay. The Unity Project Lev Warren, the charismatic spiritual leader of the Unity Project. He promises he can save Lo. All Bay has to do is believe. Which I believe these are sisters. So it's about 2 sisters. And one of the sisters goes to this cult. And I'm pretty sure the other one's like trying to save her and get her out of it. So, cult. I heard it's really good. We'll see. Well, actually, I heard it's really good from a YouTuber, Meg. From Meg with Books, and she just loves Courtney Summers, so she may be a little biased, but I know there is a cult, and I've been really wanting to read this anyway, so boom! The Project. It has a beautiful spine, honestly. I didn't realize that. It's stunning. Okay, and the last book I got that I would like to read in October is The Last Housewife. Also, I've been told has a cult in it. I've been told it's very dark and creepy and crazy, and this is frickin' bent. I probably did it, but I don't think so. While in college in New York, Shay Evans and her best friend meet a captivating man who seduced them with a web of lies about the way the world works, bringing them under his thrall. By senior year, Shay and her friend Laurel were the only ones who managed to escape. Now, 8 years later, Shay's built a new life in a Tony, Texas suburb, but when she hears the horrifying news of Laurel's death, delivered of all ways by her favorite true crime podcast, Crusader, she begins to suspect that the past she thought she buried is still very much alive, and the predators more dangerous than ever. Wow, it has a podcast and a cult. Dang. Boom. I'm very excited for this. I didn't know there was a podcast in it. I wonder if it's like... Oh, these are some tiny ass words, y'all. Oh, God. This is real tiny. I hate that for me. Okay, I don't see like podcast transcripts, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. Oh, there might be one. I don't know, it just says interview transcript, so maybe it's just an interview transcript, not podcast. But anyway, this is another book that I would love, love, love to read in October. This is a very ambitious stack, okay? Because it is very much bigger than the stack I read this month. But, like I said, we're going to get back on our reading game, okay? And if I can finish all that, there's like a bajillion other books I would love to read. Probably should read this since I wanted to read it last month, but I didn't get to it. Okay. So maybe we'll put that on there for safe measure. I probably won't get to it because that's a lot. And like I said, some tiny ass words. But we'll see. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next one. Bye.